Hello out there. Happy Monday. We're on the air. It is Monday. Everybody's least favorite day of the week. Except for me. I might be the only one who loves Mondays. And I'm sure if you've been watching the show, you know why I love Mondays. It's a fresh start. It's like January 1st, Mondays. We got a big week ahead. Always a big week, but especially this week. I don't know if we're live here. I'm seeing one person in here right now. I don't think that that's accurate. I see lots of chats. I don't know what's going on. Oh, there we go. We refreshed. Let's check out the Zap.stream. Make sure we're... Oh, what's going on here now? We got too much happening here. Too much happening. Okay, we're good. We're live. I got to update the title on there, though, but I'll do that slowly. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome back to the daily Bitcoin journey. Actionable and logical discussion for Bitcoiners and for future Bitcoiners out there. We got lots of good faces, lots of friendly faces in this chat this morning. I like this comment, though. The Boise, Idaho local guidesman. Good morning. Mowing lawns for SAS today. I wish you would elaborate on that a little bit. How, where? I'm guessing Boise, Idaho. But how do you start that? Are they paying you in sats? Or are you converting it to sats? Or are you setting them up with a wallet and then taking sats? That's impressive. That is impressive. Jose is in the house. Good morning. Daniel, Jason, Alvio, Johnny, and Tommy. Pretty solid lineup of names there. I like that. Lots of guys. I was looking at the analytics of the show on Saturday, and some surprising numbers came in. Actually, 50% of the viewers are in the USA, so that's kind of cool. I guess I got to start catering to my American brothers and sisters a little bit more. Although I think for the most part, this show is pretty general for the most part in terms of countries. I don't really landlock us into Canada here at all. We talk about some Canadian stuff, but for the most part, Bitcoin's global. And so this show has to be global as well. So anyways, 50% from the US, but this was the least surprising news of the day. The audience is 98% male. I don't know why. I think that's just Bitcoin in general. Unfortunately, I don't know the cause for that or the reason behind it or anything, but 98% of this audience is male. So shout out to the 2% of females who watch the show. Big shout out, and happy Mother's Day as well. Yesterday, belated Mother's Day, I guess you'd say. I did see a funny TikTok yesterday. It said, happy Mother's Day to the moms out there. Moms. This is Mother's Day, and for the men who wear dresses, your day is April 1st. So I got a good kick out of that one. The world needs more of that, more laughter, and more just like letting everybody know how stupid things are right now in the world. But anyways, you're here today. We're living in a little bit different world than most. We're living in the future in a lot of ways. And part of that includes mothers being moms, not men in dresses. Good morning, Adrian. And Jose says, shout out to Letha. I don't know if Letha's here today, but yes, shout out to Letha and the 2% of women who watch this show. I mean, yeah, we won't get into that. We got too much to talk about today. So let's get to some metrics before we say anything stupid on air. Crypto Heathen and Francis over in the Zap.stream chat. Morning, fellas. Crypto Heathen says, I went to UFC on Saturday. Talk about a sausage fest. Letha says, good morning. I'm at an airport and can't get onto Zap.stream. Shout out to us moms. Yes, big shout out to the moms around the world. If I had a beer, I would give you a big cheers. So let's start with some metrics. It looks like the Bitcoin blockchain seems to be still working here. We are currently, let me share this. Let me get this up on the screen. Oh, yeah. And let me just quickly update the name over in zap.stream so people don't think they're watching a repeat. Stream. Oh, you guys are watching this happen live. Cool. Zap.stream is pretty incredible. There we go. So there you have it. We are currently at block height 843,287. And if you're transacting on the Bitcoin Layer 1 network today, you're getting a heck of a deal. 13 sats per VByte. Looks like Mara Marathon Pool hit 2 blocks in a row. Big celebration this morning over at Mara. That's got to feel pretty good. I mean, I don't mind Bitcoin yet. Yet is the key word. But to hit 2 blocks in a row, I feel like if I was Marathon, if I had the headquarters of Marathon, I would have like a big bell or like a siren every time you mine a block. I'm sure that they do. So anyways, Marathon Pool, 2 blocks in a row, and they're probably drinking some champagne this morning. What did they earn for those ones? They earned $205,000, 3.2 Bitcoin last block, and the block before that, 3.3 Bitcoin, 210,000 US. Hopefully, I left the door open today. Arnie's roaming out there, free roaming. But if he starts getting on his squeaky toys, we're going to have to shut the door on him. So we got 11 sats per byte. The price today has gone up a little bit, $62,738 US dollars. 1 year ago today, you could have purchased a Bitcoin for $26,938 US dollars. And 4 years ago today, you could have purchased one for $9,304 US dollars. The Moscow time today, $1 US dollar will get you 1,594 sats. And the price in Canada today is $85,776. Moose Jaw time, which is the Canadian equivalent of Moscow time, $1 Canadian, 1 loonie, will get you 1,165 sats. The deal of a lifetime, as we like to call it. What else we got here? We're going to do the daily block reward, which is our version of hitting a daily block or a block on the blockchain. So let me find this. This was a really good comment I saw yesterday on the YouTube channel. So what we do with this daily block reward is every day we read some positive comment or a constructive comment on YouTube, but we put our preference towards the fountain stream. So if you listen to this on the podcast version, even if you don't, consider getting the fountain app, searching the daily Bitcoin journey, and on there you can actually send sats. You can either stream it every minute you listen to, you send sats, or you can send a boost, it's called. So the boost, you can actually attach a message there, and you can send any amount of sats, 100 sats, 1,000, 100,000 sats, and you can include a message on there. And so that's going to be the preference for me, is reading those ones. So if you have a message to share, if you have a business to promote, if you have an event to talk about, that's where you use that. So check out the fountain app, daily Bitcoin journey, and you can very, very cheaply get your word out there, whatever you want to spread. So let's see what we got here. Where was that comment? Oh, it was on the other channel. The backup channel had 500 subscribers over the weekend. That's pretty impressive, I think, anyways. So I just kind of set up this backup account. It's where we stream the Living in the Future shows from, but it's also just in case anything happens to this channel. That's where we're going to flock to, I guess. So hit 500 subscribers over the weekend. So this is the comment here from Mr. Klongoria. Great name. He says, first time listening to you. What on the surface sounds like bullshit might be more like interesting bullshit. You're definitely right about the focus is on the price of Bitcoin instead of looking and researching other avenues of focus to Bitcoin. Not for the dizzy nor hosted by the ditzy. Oh, sorry, not for the ditzy nor hosted by the ditzy. Time is very important. So that's an interesting comment to me, because I do think that a lot of people listen to, I mean, they don't really listen to the show, obviously, but they hear different discussions around Bitcoin. They see articles, they hear projections, all these things. And as you said there, or as they said, what on the surface sounds like bullshit might be interesting bullshit, or there might be something there, in other words. And I really think that this Bitcoin thing and this world that we're moving into is so hard for people to wrap their heads around that they don't even try. It sounds like bullshit to them because it's so far-fetched. It's so completely opposite from the system that we've grown up in and that we live in right now. And so when you try to tell people things, it's not something that you can portray in a 5-minute video or even a longer. It has to be a very deep conversation with somebody who knows what they're talking about. Otherwise, it just sounds like bullshit. But unless you have somebody who can actually talk you through it and relate to you, it's kind of a lost cause. So I think that most people are still sleeping on Bitcoin just because it is so different than what we're used to. It basically takes our whole system that we've grown up in, that we've lived in for 100 years. It takes that system and flips it on its head, every aspect of it. And so it does sound like bullshit to a lot of people. But once you understand it, it makes so much sense. That's the thing. That's the disconnect right now. So I do think we're moving into a time where people are open to it. And when people are open to it, that's when actual change happens. And we're getting to that point now. Rick, good morning. Have you smashed the like yet? That's a good question. Let's check it out. Have people smashed the like yet? Yep. Good chunk of you have. So for the 10 people who haven't yet, it's easy to do. Very easy to do and very much appreciated. Good morning, Bitcoin 444. That might be Adam, or that might be somebody else. I think it's Adam though. And if it is Adam, he's got a new profile pic. Alvio says, why you came to Italy, visiting some golf course? No, I'm going there. I'm going to Italy in a month from now for a wedding, actually, in Venice. So pretty excited to that. We're going to Amsterdam and then to Portugal and then over to Venice. So we got to leave Arnie for 10 days. Kind of sad about that, but I'm sure he could use a break from us. Jose says learning about Bitcoin is exhausting. That's why most people don't do it. I think it's exhausting in a way because it's so overwhelming to people, and their mind gets very exhausted. Whenever you talk to somebody about Bitcoin who hasn't spent a whole bunch of time in it, you can see in their eyes and in their head what's happening. They're getting mentally exhausted just by hearing things because it's such a change of what we know. But once they get it, that's the other thing. You kind of see the initial, like, what are you talking about? My brain can't understand what you're saying. And then all of a sudden you find something that they can relate to. And then it's just like, you see it in their face when it clicks. And it's a beautiful thing. So there we go. Let's get back to the Zap.stream here. What's going on over here? Daniel Zap, 420 sats. Good morning from the Green Mountain State. Good morning, Daniel, and thank you very much. Crypto Heathen says, this is a quote from Software. People don't appreciate how special physical cost function protocols like Bitcoin are because they are making the tactic assumption that all bits of information are the same. Jason Lowry, Software, from Crypto Heathen. Okay, so what do we got today? What do we have to talk about today? I called this one Bitcoin is the lifeboat, and I'm going to do a small segment during the show, maybe about 5-10 minutes. And I got a few reasons here. I really want you to send this. I want you to take some initiative today. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to talk for about 5 or 10 minutes here on a few different things. And I want you to send it to your financial advisor or any financial advisors in your life. Because I still think that, as we just talked about, most people, including financial advisors, continue to ignore Bitcoin simply because they don't understand it and simply because it's so much different than the system that we live in. So that's kind of the main theme today. But before that, we got some very important news to talk about. Adrian says Bitcoin is teaching economists about money. Stephen Cole. That's interesting, because as most people who watch the show regularly know, I went through the regular route of most people. In fact, a little bit more so in terms of the economics involved there. But 2 years of college, 2 years of university, 2 years of my CPA program, which is the kind of the equivalent to like a master's degree in accounting. And with that, when in my university days, I minored in economics. And I swear to you, I learned more in the year following 2020, when everything was shut down. I learned more about money, and I've learned 100 times more about money since then through Bitcoin versus the schooling system. Pretty crazy. And so, as Adrian said, Bitcoin is teaching economists about money. Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that strongly. Crypto Eden says a little more context. He explains that Bitcoin bits of information are inherently more real than any other bits in cyberspace due to the physical power required to produce them. Bingo. Thanks for sharing that, Crypto Eden. Okay, so let's start with a quote here, and this is kind of going to tie into everything today that we talk about. But let's start with a quote, as we usually do. So this is a quote from Balaji, and the quote is, "The banking system broke in 2023. They've just been hiding it in plain sight, and it's already far beyond the 2008 crash." So that's a quote from Balaji. The banking system broke in 2023. They've just been hiding it in plain sight, and it's already far beyond 2008. And if you look at the metrics, if you look at the actual data on it, he's right. And he had a graph there to kind of back it up, but I didn't feel like bringing that up right now. But I just love that quote because it's true. The banking system broke in 2023. If you've been paying attention to anything that's been going on in the world of finance and the markets, and the banking system is broken. And they're doing a very good job hiding it, but it seems like more and more people are starting to realize the fact that it is broken. And as they realize that, their mind opens up to where do we go from here? What's going to happen to me? What are the implications of that on my life? And when they start thinking like that, they switch their mindset to completely closed on the system that seems to be working, the one that's worked their entire lives, especially here in Canada and the US. But when they see things, when they hear that it's broken, then they're open to new ideas. And so that's what I'm going to hopefully get across today in this discussion. So with that, and yes, as Jose says here, it was broken before that too. It was broken in 2008, and they've been kicking the can down the road for a lot of years now, and it seems like they're running out of bullets. The engine caught fire in 2023, and they won't land the plane. Soft landing, they say. We're coming to. Soft landing. For those who are holding Bitcoin, it's going to be a fairly soft landing. Okay, let's kick off some news here. This segment of Bitcoin News is sponsored by Bitcoin News, doing some great things in the Bitcoin world. Check out their Twitter account if you're still on Twitter. Believe this or not, but on my phone, the app is still called Twitter. I guess because I haven't updated it yet, but that's been a long time. I'm surprised they haven't forced me to update it yet. So it's still Twitter to me. The only time I spend on Twitter is looking at the Bitcoin News feed. So check out their Twitter feed, check out their YouTube channel. They got some really, really good interviews on there, which includes one today I'm going to show right away. And their website, bookmark it, check it out every day. Not only is there breaking news on Bitcoin News, but it has different segments here. Maybe I'll bring it up quickly just for shits and gigs, because it is a great resource for anybody trying to pay attention in the Bitcoin world. So it's bitcoinnews.com. And you can see here that it has the breaking news. Oh, they changed it a little bit. Interesting. There used to be categories up here. Oh, so there's right here. So they broke it up into news, services, videos, and events. And then within the news, this is what I was talking about here. There's adoption, there's lightning, there's legal, markets, and mining. So anything you ever need to know about Bitcoin and what's going on in the market, you can find here, bitcoinnews.com. So there you go. Let's get to, oh, look at that comment. Jor, what camera do you use to stream? You look great. Thank you. What camera do I use to stream? I don't know. Razer something. Razer, I don't know. It is a good camera though. So let's start with this. This is Bitcoin Magazine CEO David Bailey says their team is advising Trump on his Bitcoin policy agenda. They intend to raise 100 million war chest for the campaign to ensure the next president is pro-Bitcoin. So this is a tweet from David Bailey. This is the CEO of Bitcoin Magazine. Not our favorite publication, I don't think, but an important one nonetheless. So the one that the part that I found really interesting here. So this is the tweet from David Bailey. It says, for the past month, we have been working with the Trump campaign to develop their Bitcoin and crypto policy agenda. We proposed a comprehensive executive order for the president. So this is the part that I want you to focus on here. We proposed a comprehensive executive order for President Trump to sign on day one. I will be sharing those details soon. This week, Trump took the first step, but there's much more work to do. We intend to raise a $100 million war chest for the campaign to ensure the next president of the U.S. is pro-Bitcoin. So how do I take this off here? Okay, that worked. So as I've said on here, we can't put any sort of trust or reliance on politicians. None of them, including Trump. Although I do love Trump and I love what's happening here, this is on us. It's not going to be determined by a president or a politician or anything. It's up to us. We are the change that needs to happen. But with this, there are different things that can happen here. It's 2024. It's an election year. And I'm sure you've noticed that Sleepy Joe, President Poopy Pants, isn't the greatest thing for Bitcoin. He's pretty much done everything that he can do to try to hinder Bitcoin's growth within the US and around the world. So politicians can have a very negative impact on Bitcoin. And so with this, like I said, we proposed a comprehensive executive order for President Trump to sign on day one. So clearly these two parties are working together, Trump campaign and Bitcoin Magazine, trying to make progress in terms of a Bitcoin-friendly country in the US. So pretty much what can happen there is all these things that Biden's been doing for the last 4 years to try to stop Bitcoin, to try to slow it down, Trump can basically veto on day one. And that's what they're putting together here. So I do think that this is very important in terms of, if in a functioning society of politicians still running things, I don't think it's going to be the case for very long, honestly. I think the governments are running out of steam. They're running out of power and influence. And unless they adopt a Bitcoin strategy and start buying Bitcoin and holding Bitcoin, a lot of countries and governments are going to fade away. So that is big shout out to David Bailey, I guess, in a way, and the Trump campaign, at least for trying. I think it's important that we see steps like this because, like I said, Biden and the Biden campaign are pretty much doing the exact opposite of this. So I missed this comment. Cheryl says, found you on Nostr in the US. That's pretty cool. Good morning, Cheryl. How did you find me there? That's the question. But glad to have you here and glad to connect on Nostr. Maybe shoot me a message on there just so I know who you are. It's very hard to keep track of names on YouTube, on Zap.stream, on Nostr, especially for most Bitcoiners who like to be fairly anonymous. So just shoot me a message on Nostr and let me know who you are, which account you are, I guess. So that's the first piece of news. This second piece I'm going to share here, this isn't really news. I just want to share this because this is important for anybody in Bitcoin. So today's show, like I said, is going to be focused on a few reasons why financial advisors should be taking a second look, or a first look maybe, at Bitcoin. But within every show, I like to have something for everybody. So this is a really good video I found this morning. This is from a guy named Cole. And it's talking about passphrases. And so if you are somebody who has Bitcoin and you have a significant amount of Bitcoin, but you haven't taken it far enough to set yourself up with, say, a multi-signature setup, if you're kind of still working towards that, this is what I want you to focus on for a while. And within Living in the Future, I did a whole show on the passphrase here, and I'll probably do more. But passphrase essentially creates a multi-signature setup for yourself without having to disperse your Bitcoin wallets and Bitcoin devices in separate locations. So passphrase, I think, is something that you should definitely be looking to learn more about and getting set up in your Bitcoin security. So let's bring this up. It's a minute and 45 seconds, but he does a very good job explaining passphrases here. So here we go. Sometimes it's better to let other people say it. And that's what I'm going to do. So here we go. This is about passphrases.
Bitcoin passphrases are a great way to increase the security of your Bitcoin setup, but at the same time, they are an easy way to lose your coins if you don't understand them properly. In this video, I will explain how Bitcoin passphrases actually work. When you generate a new Bitcoin wallet, you will be given a seed phrase in the form of 12 or 24 words. Those words are needed to access your Bitcoin, and without them, you can consider your coins lost. One problem with these words is that if anybody else gains access to them, they also have access to your coins. And this is where passphrases can be used to our advantage. Passphrases allow you to add an additional phrase on top of your existing 12 or 24 words, and both the seed phrase and the passphrase are needed to access your coins. Here is a good way to think about it. Your seed phrase plus your passphrase together unlock your Bitcoin wallet. This allows you to keep the two parts separated, so if one is found, your wallet is not compromised. Your 12 or 24 words alone are also a perfectly functional Bitcoin wallet, which allows you to have a decoy balance. You could have a small amount of Bitcoin in your seed phrase, so if an attacker finds this, they think they have your coins. But little do they know that there is a passphrase needed to access your real Bitcoin stack. It is essential to understand that you need the seed phrase and the passphrase to access your coins. If you lose the seed phrase, your coins are gone. If you lose the passphrase, your coins are gone. And you need to back them both up, preferably in metal. And that is how Bitcoin passphrases work. In the rest of this video, I will do a demonstration within Sparrow Wallet.
So there you go. That is the passphrases I've been talking about. And one really good way to do that is using the cold card. And so what he said there is basically let's just pretend you buy a cold card, you set it up, you got your 24 words. I think you need 24 words on the cold card to have a passphrase. So you got your 24 words. That's one wallet, right? So let's say you send 2 million sats to that wallet. Perfect. And then you set up a new wallet, you add a passphrase to it. And when you add a passphrase to that wallet, it creates a brand new wallet within that device, within that wallet. Sorry. It creates a brand new wallet, not within the wallet, but within that device. So you need your passphrase to access that. So what you can do there is you can set up a passphrase, which creates a new wallet. Then you can send the rest of your Bitcoin to that wallet while it's still loaded up, and provides you with a new Bitcoin receive address. And with that, so if somebody were to ever gain access to your cold card, even if they had your 24 words, or if they could access your, if they had your PIN, they could get your Bitcoin. So your 2 million sats, that's kind of your decoy there. But you set up a passphrase, you send the rest of your Bitcoin to your passphrase wallet, and then they need the passphrase. And if you keep your seed backup and your passphrase separate, there's no way for them to know that you actually have a passphrase or what it is. So very, very important there. And like I said, within the Living in the Future group, I did a video on how to do that, how to set that up on your cold card. So if you're interested in that, if that's something you kind of want to take your security to the next level, I think that's the best way to do it. So the progression there is kind of set up like a single normal wallet on your phone. If you got some sats, if you start building up your balance, you get a cold card, you get a Blockstream Jade, some sort of hardware device that takes it offline. And then from there, you set up a passphrase. That's kind of the next step in your progression. And then from there, you go to multi-signature. But it is quite the step from a device to a multi-signature setup. So I think that the passphrase is kind of like the perfect in between for that. So consider joining the Living the Future tier if you want to learn how to do the passphrase, or you can just get in touch with me and I can very easily help you through it or walk you through it. Within the description, it says Living the Future. There's a little link there. Click that and you can join it and check that out. I mean, you could even join for 7 days, watch the video, and then cancel the membership. I just kind of want to, we have the Living the Future for a bunch of different reasons, but one of them is to have conversations that I don't feel comfortable having on YouTube. So, I mean, it's good information. If you want it to be free, it can be. So that's something to consider today. I do see Matt over in the Zap.stream. He says, good morning, and zapped 420 sats. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. Daniel says, if you want to run a full node on a Mac and set up a spare wallet, he's a good resource. So that is, it must be Southern Bitcoiner. That's who was talking there. His name's Cole. So there you go. Daniel says, if you want to run a full node on a Mac and set up a spare wallet, he's a good resource for that. Oh, Matt says cold card passphrase works with 24 words. Interesting. Okay. I thought you needed 24 words for that. People within this group and community are pretty smart and outsmart me a lot of times. So that's what you want. LVO says Bitcoin News, they're the sponsor of the Bitcoin racing team, UK Mini Challenge Championship. I saw that, and I saw that they won the race on the weekend. So that's kind of cool. And King says, I was watching that guy yesterday as I was setting up my node. There you go. He seems like a very well-spoken and very knowledgeable guy, Cole. Okay, here's another piece of news that was worth sharing today. This is State Representative Keith Amon poses the question, should the state of New Hampshire investigate allocating a small percentage of its reserves into a Bitcoin ETF? I like the looks of that guy. Keith, the answer is yes, you should. And in addition to that, not only will the state of New Hampshire, or Hampshire, how do you say it, New Hampshire? Not only will they eventually allocate a small percentage of its reserves to Bitcoin, but every other state will, and every other country will, and every country on earth will allocate a small percentage and then a big percentage of its reserves into Bitcoin. Once people figured out what's going on here, every state, every country, every company will be allocating a portion of their reserves into Bitcoin. So what you can do, Keith, is do it now, and you're going to get more sats for your dollars. Get ahead of everybody else. Be the 5%, not the 95%. So there you go. That's Keith Amon. Good guy, good initiative. But here's the big piece of news for today. And just as I was talking about the countries who are holding Bitcoin on its reserves, let's talk about the number one country. This is amazing. Just in, El Salvador releases new website that keeps track of their national Bitcoin treasury. So El Salvador here, they have a website. This is the tweet here from Bitcoin News. But let's check a look. Let's check out their website. No, that's not it. Here it is. So I don't know how, I don't know when this happened, but you can see that this is the mempool space site, but the website is bitcoin.gob.sv. And it's like basically a customized mempool.space for El Salvador. So this is El Salvador's. It says the Bitcoin office here at the top. It looks exactly like mempool.space. has the blocks at the top. It looks like, oh, the unknown block. Look at that. 26 minutes ago, there was an unknown miner who got the block. Love that. But then look at this. You can see the transaction fees just like on mempool, but then you can see El Salvador's holdings. So they're currently holding 5,748 Bitcoin worth $360 million US. And you can see their balance over time. Pretty nice little chart there. And you can see the recent transactions for El Salvador here. So it looks like yesterday, every day they're buying 1 Bitcoin. That's incredible. See, I mean, I don't know, that just makes me so happy. Imagine if every government on earth had a website like this. They probably will. But I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss for words. It seems like everything's happening here that we anticipated. Because think about how much transparency that adds. Think about how much transparency that adds to a country. And people worry about Bitcoin in terms of how transparent it is. But you have Bitcoin layer 1, which countries will be using Bitcoin layer 1. And that's where we need the transparency. We've never had that in government in our lifetime. We've never had a transparent government before. So you have layer 1, which is very transparent, going to be used by big corporations, companies, the big stuff. The on-chain transactions are going to be the settlements between countries, between companies. That's what it's going to be used for. But then we have the Lightning Network built on top of that for fast, cheap, and easy transactions for us to be using for the everyday person. And then you have the eCash, which is going to be the exact same thing, layer 3 on top of that, but it's going to be very private. So people worry about the transparency in Bitcoin. It's not something that we should be worried about. It's something that we should be welcoming. We've never had the ability to audit our own government before and how they spend their money and how much money they actually have. And what is that currency even? With this, El Salvador has their own mempool. They have their balance. They have the transactions. You can see exactly what's going on there. That's what we need right now. And the governments who implement this and embrace this are going to be the ones that succeed. They're going to attract the capital. They're going to attract the tourism, as we've seen. And they're going to be the countries that are going to be around in 25 years from now. Because if you're investing in El Salvador right now, you can see clearly how much they have. And if they were to issue some sort of digital currency with Bitcoin backing it, we're going to be easily able to audit that balance and verify the fact that they actually have that Bitcoin. So there we go. King says, I hate to be that guy, but honestly, I have a bad feeling about the ETFs. It feels like a honeypot. I've been thinking about what if Bitcoin forks? Well, number one, we got a very long ways to go before Bitcoin forks. I think the ETFs have about 1 or 2% of total Bitcoin. I don't blame you for being worried about that. And I'm kind of on that side too. Unfortunately, there's absolutely nothing that we can do about it, for one. And the one thing that we can do is buy Bitcoin, tell our friends to buy Bitcoin, tell our family to buy Bitcoin, take that Bitcoin off the exchanges and put it into our own wallets. That's the only thing that we can do. Because BlackRock and the other ETF issuers do not care what the price of Bitcoin is. They'll keep buying it forever. They're never going to sell that Bitcoin. And the more they get, the bigger problem it becomes. We got a very long way before that happens, but it still could get to that point. So what we can do is, because there's only so much Bitcoin available, we can get as much of it as we can and hold it and take it off the exchanges and never sell it to BlackRock. That's all we can do. And Daddio says most governments are buying Bitcoin, but in secret. Correct. Most governments are buying Bitcoin right now. I'm just not telling you about it. King says there's a post on Bitcoin Reddit about the Bank of Canada issuing a warning. Might be worth checking out. I saw it. It just didn't really, he said the things that I already know. He said that there's going to be something about a sharp, I don't know. Anyways, it's just a Bank of Canada guy talking bullshit, reading from a script. telling me things that I already know, but I did see it, and it probably is worth checking out. I just didn't feel like wasting any time listening to some dummy tell us lies about the economy. Okay, sharp correction. That's what it was. Thank you. Let's get to this here. So today's show, as you can see in the title, Bitcoin is the lifeboat. What I want you to do here today, and I'm going to ask a favor of you. I'm going to clip this probably after the show at some point today, so you don't have to send them the whole episode. And I want to keep this fairly quick because I know how short people's attention spans are, especially, well, I know how short people's attention spans are. So I'm going to try to keep this fairly quick. I'm going to clip it out today. And what I want you to do is I want you to take this clip, check on the page later today, and send it to your financial advisor. Send it to any financial advisors you have as friends or family or anybody that you know, because this is important. And I do think that this isn't a warning to them. This is a big opportunity for them. That's kind of what I want to get to here, because most financial advisors are sleeping on Bitcoin. They are. And we know what's happening. We know what's coming here. And I think that they know that too. They just don't have the time or the energy to be able to look into it. And they're fearful of it still. So I'm going to talk about three things here, 3 Ps, and I'm going to give a couple bonus ones too, which I came up with in the shower this morning, as usual. And so this is going to be proven and predictive. Okay. So here we go. Bitcoin is the lifeboat. And I want you to share this with the financial advisors. And if you are a financial advisor who received this video, this is what I got for you. So the 3 Ps here, I think it's very easy to think in threes and in acronyms here. So the 3 Ps are performance, power, and proven/predictive. So let's dive in a little bit on what I'm talking about there. Let's start with the first one. So the first one is performance. And I'm going to open this up. I'm going to open this chart up here, if I can find it. I thought I had this loaded. We'll have to start again for the clip. So we don't want to make people wait for it. Here it is. So here we go. This is the reasons why I think that financial advisors should be taking a very hard look at Bitcoin right now. Not as a warning or a threat or anything like that, but a very big opportunity for financial advisors. And not only to help their clients get into the Bitcoin ETFs, but to actually help their clients learn about Bitcoin and to allocate a very small portion of their portfolio into holding Bitcoin themselves in self-custody. And I don't expect any financial advisors to be in a position where they can recommend that to their clients, but they can recommend them to somebody like me who can help them with that. And that's what I want to offer them today. So we got 3 things here. The first one is performance. The second one is power. And the third one is proven and predictive. And I got a bonus one too. So these are the 3 Ps of why you should be taking a very hard look at Bitcoin right now. So the first one is performance. And I'm going to bring up a chart here, graphic, that's pretty eye-opening, I think. And I don't know how many financial advisors have seen this before. It was actually a financial advisor who sent me this graphic, which is amazing. But here's the Bitcoin performance compared to major asset classes for the last 10 years. So at the top here, you can see the best performers. So 2013, it was Bitcoin, 5,000%. 2014, it was the SPX, 12%, with Bitcoin negative 58. 2015, Bitcoin again, 37%. 2016, Bitcoin again, 120%. 2017, 1,300% Bitcoin once again. 2018 was a tough year. It looks like the best performing asset was AGG, 0% gain. Bitcoin minus 73%. 2019, Bitcoin once again, 92%. 2020, Bitcoin again, 300%. 21, Bitcoin, 60%. 22 is a tough year for Bitcoin, negative 65%. CMT was the highest at 20%. And 2023 last year was 156% Bitcoin again. Cumulative over the 10 years, Bitcoin 315,000% up. Annualized average 124% per year Bitcoin wins. The second is the SPX at 13%. So how could anybody look at that chart and continue to ignore Bitcoin? Anybody who is, I think, is doing a major disservice to their clients. And that's kind of the purpose of this, but also to, like I said, show the opportunity here. So that's the first part. That is the performance. And it's impossible to argue that performance. It's right here in front of you. The numbers are here. The numbers do not lie. And you can verify anything on here if you'd like to. But cumulative 315,000% in the last 10 years, Bitcoin. The best performing asset in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of the last 11 years. So it's performance, pretty good performance. The second one here I want to talk about is the power of Bitcoin. And I'm going to bring up a chart here, or a graphic, I guess you'd say. This is the power of Bitcoin. And what do I mean by the power of Bitcoin? What are you talking about, Jor? So this is the, let's show the hash rate here. Bring this up. So this is the power of the Bitcoin network. This is what it looks like right now. And you can see this chart here from 2009, when Bitcoin first came out, January 3rd, 2009, up until 2017. The power of Bitcoin was very low. There wasn't a whole lot of people using Bitcoin. There wasn't a whole lot of people mining Bitcoin. But this graphic here shows the total amount of energy that's going into the Bitcoin network right now. Every time somebody plugs in a Bitcoin miner, this goes up. And so this is the total power in the Bitcoin network right now. You can see what happened here. This is in 2021 when China banned Bitcoin mining. It took a very sharp drop as they all had to power down and move. But then within the year, it got back up to where it was, and it's absolutely gone bananas since then. So this is the total power in the Bitcoin network, the total energy and electricity going into securing the network. And so as this chart, it continues to explode and power continues to flow into Bitcoin, it makes it more secure. It means that more people are mining. It's more secure. It's less risky, obviously, if there's more capital flowing into Bitcoin. The risk of something negative happening to Bitcoin almost is impossible at this point. So as it's called the hash rate, but as the total power continues to rise in Bitcoin, it becomes more and more impossible for anything to shut it down. So that's power. And I think that it's a very important metric that people should be paying attention to. Unfortunately, most people, what the hell's going on here? Unfortunately, most people pay attention to the price. They see it's volatile and that's about it. But this is a very important metric, I think, that most people, and especially financial advisors, are sleeping on. So that is the power in Bitcoin. Pretty good chart. Like I said, every time somebody plugs in a Bitcoin miner, it helps secure the network. It helps decentralize the network. And every time somebody plugs in a miner, that number goes up. So that's what's happening here. More and more people are mining Bitcoin. More and more people are using Bitcoin. And as the adoption increases, because it's a fixed supply, the price of Bitcoin will only continue to go in that direction. So the last one here is proven. Bitcoin is proven now. Back in 2009, if you were lucky enough to hold some Bitcoin or mine some Bitcoin, the network wasn't proven. Bitcoin itself wasn't proven. Hardly anybody was using it. Nobody knew what it was going to be, what it was going to become, if they could stop it, if anybody would shut it down, if Wall Street would embrace it. There was a lot of question marks at that time, back in 2009, pretty much up until 2017. And I think that this, like I said, I love using this as a metric here because up until 2017, this was basically zero in terms of the hash rate within Bitcoin. So it was very unproven. We didn't know if it was going to work. Nobody knew if it was going to work, if it was going to succeed, but we're kind of at the point now where it has been proven. People are using it. People are mining. If you look at that chart, that shows you exactly what's happening here in Bitcoin. So it's proven. People are using it. People are transacting with it. People are using it as a store of wealth. People are buying it and never selling it. It's proven. And the other part here, just because everything's so uncertain in the world right now, we really have no idea what's going to happen. And if you're in the camp that believes that, you know, things are in a very weird place right now and we're not really sure what's going to happen in the next couple of years, we started the show saying that with a quote from Balaji that says the banking system broke in 2023. They've just been hiding it in plain sight, and it's already far beyond 2008. So, I mean, whether you want to believe that or not, it doesn't really matter. That's the reality of things right now, is that the financial system, the banking system, is in very big trouble. And if you're somebody who believes that something could go wrong in the markets, in the banks, and if you believe that that's coming, you want to have something that you can predict. And so with Bitcoin here, it's something that you don't have to worry about what Jerome Powell is going to say, what the rates are going to be next month, what Apple's going to release for the next product. You don't have to worry about any of that. The Bitcoin itself is very predictive. And I want to stop here and show a clip of what's his name here? You'll see him in a second, but what's this guy's name? Lawrence Lepard. So let me bring this up. I want you to listen to this clip because he talks about this, about how with cash, with gold, with anything, the supply is unknown. And if the demand for an asset increases, we can always increase the supply to meet that demand. So listen to what Lawrence Lepard here, he's been in this industry for a lot of years, 40 years. And this is what he has to say about Bitcoin. And I think it's a perfect message to anybody out there, especially financial advisors. So listen to Lawrence here.
Yeah, think about Bitcoin's a commodity, right? The SEC said it's a commodity. It is a commodity. One coin's the same as the next. Okay, fine. Every commodity in the world, if you increase its price, the supply goes up. If gold went to 10,000 tomorrow, we'd mine more gold. Higher price, you would get more. No matter where the price of Bitcoin goes, the issuance schedule is set. There's not going to be any more. It comes out, every block is, 6.25 coins right now, soon to be half of that. The world has never seen anything that really kind of looks like this. I mean, Bitcoin from inception has grown at 145% compound annually, and it's got a lower Sharpe ratio than any other asset out. I mean, this is an amazing beast. It really is. But it's volatile, and to some it's scary, and I get all of that. But, I've long contended that anybody who has zero of this is really, really missing the most asymmetric bet that I've ever seen in 40 plus years of trying to make asymmetric bets. Think about Bitcoin's a commodity, right?
So that's very important. Very important. The fact that regardless of how much demand there is for Bitcoin, we cannot change the supply schedule. Very important. Because there's so many factors that are out of our control in this world, including how much money they print and how much debt they take on. It's completely out of our control. We don't vote on it, and it has a trickle-down effect on everything that we do, including the financial markets. So if you're holding the majority of your wealth or your client's wealth in those assets, you're at a very big disadvantage, and you're at the mercy of what certain people decide to do and say, and what companies release certain products and how they perform. You're at the mercy of all that. With Bitcoin, it's an asset that we know how much there is today. We know how much there's going to be in 5 years from now, in 50 years from now. And I want to show you this. I want to quickly show you this graphic that we show on the show here all the time. But it is the supply schedule of Bitcoin. And I put this into a very easy to read graphic here. And so this is the reward. So every 10 minutes, a new block is created. And every time a new block is created, new Bitcoin are created, or a new block is mined, new Bitcoin are created. So the first epoch was 50 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. Second epoch was 25 Bitcoin every 10 minutes on average. Third epoch was 12.5 Bitcoin. We just moved through this epoch, which was 6.2, and now we're in 3.125 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. And so this is the schedule here. That's what's happened. But then we also know what it is going forward here up until 2136, when the last Bitcoin will be mined. And so the reason these are highlighted here, this is 2064. This is the one that I always talk about here, because number one, this is within our lifetime, I think, for most of us, hopefully for all of us. But this is 2064. So you can see here that per day right now, in this epoch that we're in, there is 450 Bitcoin created every day. That's where we are today. 450 new Bitcoin are created every day. In 2064, less than 1 Bitcoin will be created every day within our lifetime. 2064, we're going to move into a world where less than 1 Bitcoin per day for the entire world, for every person, every company, every country, there's 1 Bitcoin being created. So, I mean, that sounds cool. It sounds pretty impressive, but the key here that I want to talk about is that it's predictive. There are no external factors that will change that. It's written in the Bitcoin code. And when you have a predictive asset with a fixed supply, that's what you can measure things against. And you can call Bitcoin whatever you want: money, digital gold, digital real estate, inflation hedge, a good savings account. You can call it whatever you want to. It doesn't matter. This is the supply schedule. It's predictive until 2136. Over 100 years from now, we know exactly how much Bitcoin there will be at any given date. And when you can predict something, when you can reliably depend on something like that, you can make a lot better decisions. So that's the 3 P's there: performance, power, and proven/predictive. And I want to give one more here just for a bonus here. So this is we turned from 3 P's into 6 P's pretty fast. So the last one I want to talk about here is the purchasing power. And this is what I really want you to focus on within Bitcoin. Not the price in fiat, not the price in US dollars, but the purchasing power. So if you look at, actually, I'll bring it up here quickly because I do have it on this spreadsheet as well. It's a great spreadsheet. Let's see if I can. There we go. So purchasing power. One thing over time, and that has happened and will continue to happen, is if you measure any asset against Bitcoin, the price of it in Bitcoin has fallen over time. And when people hear that, it's very hard for them to wrap their mind around that. But when you see something like I'm about to show you here, this is the average homes in Canada. So you can see here back in 2015, I highlighted these two because I think that they're fairly reasonable, because these ones are crazy at the start. But in 2015, the average price of a home here in Canada was $413,000. In 2021, it jumped to $688,000, which is crazy for one. But, you know, people see that and they think, oh, well, my house went up in value. My house is worth more. It went from 400,000 to almost 700,000 in 6 years. So I'm doing pretty well. My house went up in value. But did it really? Did you add anything to it? Was anything built around your house that would actually add value? Or was it just the fiat dollar going down in purchasing power? So that same price that same house in 2015 would have cost you over 1,000 Bitcoin. In 2021, it would have cost you 13 Bitcoin. So even though the price went up in dollars, even though it appears to have gone up in value, it actually went down significantly in terms of Bitcoin. And that's just 2 years out of this, but you can see the trend here. Overall, this is a 15-year schedule here, went from $340,000 to $694,000 in 15 years. In Bitcoin, it went from 4.8 million Bitcoin to 11 Bitcoin for your average house. So that's real estate. That's one asset class that has gone down in terms of Bitcoin and will continue to go down in terms of Bitcoin because it's a scarce asset with a fixed supply, and everything else, including real estate, will continue to go down in price compared to Bitcoin over time. So there you go. You have performance, power, proven and predictive, and then the purchasing power. That's what I want you to focus on. Don't worry about the price of Bitcoin. Focus on the purchasing power increase of Bitcoin over time. So there you go. Let's the last thing I want to say here is that if you are watching this, okay, let me catch up on the chat here a little bit. Sharp correction, that's what it was. Jason says, I don't think financial advisors are financially incentivized to show Bitcoin, at least not yet. And that's exactly what it is. It's exactly the problem. They're not financially incentivized to show Bitcoin. They haven't taken any time to learn Bitcoin, so they don't understand what's going on here. And they're doing their clients a significant disservice. Jose says there hasn't been a Bitcoin pump since 2017. Well, last year, 2023, 150%, pretty good, I would say. Tommy D says investing in Bitcoin requires prudence and patience. And Kev says Bitcoin is an arc. It really is. And this is what I want to kind of end with here, a couple things. But Bitcoin is an arc. It's a lifeboat. And Bitcoin, what I would say to anybody out there, if you're a financial advisor or if you have a financial advisor, friend, family member, and you send this to them, this is what I want you to think about. There is a huge opportunity here for you. Because if you think about how many financial advisors are out there, it's a very competitive space. How do you set yourself apart from other financial advisors? Companies come out with different funds, different products that they try to talk their clients into buying. But if you really want to set yourself apart today, this is the biggest opportunity that has come and will come in your lifetime. Because one thing we talk about on the show quite a bit, and especially in Living in the Future, is there's a difference between competing and creating. And that's the difference in life. There's 95% of people who are all competing, doing the exact same thing, offering the same products, talking about owning the same stocks. The 95% of people, that's a very competitive market. And if you're willing to take some risk, you can be in the 5% here. Of the 5% of financial advisors, initially, everybody eventually will hold Bitcoin and offer it to their clients. But the 5% of financial advisors who are Bitcoin friendly and who are explaining this to their clients are going to be in a very opportune position for this next decade. So instead of competing against the 95% of advisors who are doing the exact same thing, selling the same products, why don't you be in the 5% and just take a bit of risk on here? And if you look at the performance, the power, and the predictive nature of Bitcoin, it's not much of a risk, honestly. It's just something different that you've never been part of before. So instead of being in the 95%, be in the 5%. Start talking about this with your Bitcoin, with your clients, and start very slow. That's the other part too. Start educating yourself. Start allocating a very small percent of your funds, your clients' funds, into Bitcoin. Start very slow. Because the last thing you want to do is get into this, allocate a whole bunch of your investment portfolio into Bitcoin, and then things go down a little bit, and then all of a sudden you start to panic. So very easy, 1 or 2%, 3% allocation to Bitcoin. Start very slow. So the last thing here is this is kind of from their shoes, and I think this relates to anybody out there, but especially financial advisors, is you have to consider the worst case and the best case here. So I want to talk about two different situations here because you have two options right now. You can continue ignoring Bitcoin and hope that it goes away, or you can embrace Bitcoin and start talking to your clients about it, start being open to it, start learning about it. Those are your two options. So this is the worst case in terms of you actually embracing Bitcoin and choosing to be in the 5% of financial advisors who are Bitcoin friendly. So this is the worst case. You're wrong about it. And Bitcoin goes to zero. That's the worst case. So if you take my advice, start slow, you allocate 1 or 2% of your client's portfolio based on what I showed today, you lose 1 or 2% of your client's portfolio. Goes to zero. Bitcoin goes to zero. You're wrong. Your clients are pissed. But I think that they would still be understanding. If you go through this whole thing and you explain why you think that they should, there would be, unless somebody's very unreasonable, they would understand why you're explaining this to them. And I think that they would actually be very much appreciative of that. The best case, though, is that your clients see 150% returns on average. And for these next 2 years, I think it's going to be much higher than that. But they get to be part of this whole Bitcoin price movement here and purchasing power increase. And they thank you. They send you the nicest bottle of wine this Christmas for getting them into Bitcoin, seeing these gains, and being part of this new financial revolution happening here. So that's if you decide to embrace Bitcoin. This is if you decide to continue to ignore Bitcoin and hopefully hope that it goes away. The worst case is that Bitcoin goes up another 150%, maybe 500% this year. Your clients leave you. Your clients sue you. Your clients lose wealth. They lose the opportunity that was so clearly right in front of your face. You miss out on all that, and you lose your clients and your wealth. That's the worst case. And I mean, could be more too. Maybe your wife's pissed that you ignored Bitcoin and she leaves you too. Not funny, but reality. Like these are the things that happen when you lose your clients, you lose your wealth. That's when everything goes to shit. So that's the worst case. The best case is that your portfolio, your fund keeps earning 7, 8, 9, 10%, barely keeping up with inflation. Your clients are wondering what's going on. Why haven't you allocated anything to Bitcoin here? So that's the best case. There is your Bitcoin. You know, you were right about Bitcoin. It fails, and you keep earning 8%. They keep kicking the can further down the road, and we continue living in this system of illusion. Is that the best case? Is that something that sounds really good to live in and to pursue? I don't know. So that's my message to financial advisors out there. And like I said, I would highly encourage you, if you have a financial advisor in your life, send them the video of this, either this full show or the clip that I'm going to do after the show. And then just ask to have a conversation with them. Ask their opinion on it. Ask them how much time they've spent learning about Bitcoin. And the last thing I'll say here is that if you are a financial advisor who happened to stumble across this video, or your clients sent you this video, my offer to you is find a way to get a hold of me. All of my information is in the description below here. My contact information, my email, website, everything is in there. Send me an email. Send me your greatest fear about Bitcoin. And then we'll set up a 30-minute call for free. And we can figure out a way to help your clients get a safe and responsible allocation to Bitcoin. That's my offer to you, completely free. Because, you know, the thing that we have to do here is continue pushing this forward. And the financial advisors of the world are the people that have a lot of people's trust. They've been their main rock for a lot of years, helping them get through the stock market ups and downs, helping them make a good allocation to each asset class responsibly. But it's different now. And I think that there's way too much at stake here to continue to ignore Bitcoin. So my offer to you is that I want you to email me. We'll set up a 30-minute call. I'll answer any questions you have. I'll explain anything that you want explained. And then hopefully, as I said, you can start helping your clients get a safe and responsible allocation to Bitcoin. So that's my offer to you. I do want to give a big shout out as well, because it's important to do. A big shout out to my friend Crysler and a couple other financial advisors in my life who are embracing Bitcoin, who are talking to their clients about Bitcoin, and who are sending their clients to someone like me to have a real good conversation with them, because they realize that they're not at a place where they can have a conversation, a very informative discussion around Bitcoin. So they're contracting people like me to have these conversations. So one thing I would say is, if you are somebody who has Bitcoin but still has a bunch of your assets in the old system, and you're trying to get them into Bitcoin or Bitcoin related products, and if your financial advisor is still hesitant and still saying no to Bitcoin, it's time to leave them. It's way past the time to leave them. They've had more than enough time to look at this stuff themselves. There's way too much at stake here. And, you know, it doesn't really matter how long you've known them or how friendly they are to you and how much, you know, they gave you a box seat to the Jets game last week. There's way too much at stake here for them to continue ignoring Bitcoin. So if your financial advisor is somebody like that, just leave them. Say, I appreciate everything you've done, but I can't put all of my wealth and trust in somebody who's too stubborn to even consider Bitcoin. And if you want a new guy, let me know. I'll put you in touch with Crysler. He's one heck of a guy. He is embracing Bitcoin, and there's going to be more and more advisors who do. So in the meantime, if you're a financial advisor, this is your opportunity to be the 5%, to be the difference, and to do a service to your clients that nobody else is doing or willing to do. Stick your neck out a little bit here. It seems risky, it seems scary, but if you actually look at it from a unbiased perspective, this is an absolute no-brainer. So there you go. Bitcoin is the lifeboat. And if you think about the Titanic as an analogy to leave things today, if you think about the Titanic, how many people stayed on the Titanic while it was going down, while everybody was dancing, the music was playing? How many people stayed on there? Probably about 95%. How many people took the initiative, saw what was coming, saw the iceberg ahead, took the initiative, got onto a lifeboat, and paddled their way to safety? It was probably about 5%. So it's very similar to what's happening here in terms of the financial markets and the industry here, is you want to be the 5% who's getting on the lifeboat. And this applies to advisors and people in general. If you're somebody who's taken on the initiative to buy Bitcoin, you're on the lifeboat right now. You're safe, but we need to grab our friends from the Titanic. So be in that 5%, and your family, your great grandkids will thank you in the future. Chris, good morning, my friend. Good morning from the home of the Senators. Good morning. And Kev says, did Canada really increase capital gains tax to 66%? Yes, they did. And I mean, just to close things out here with Kev's comment here, Canada's done this. Every country on earth will probably do things. As governments continue to lose their influence and their power, and they start running out of purchasing power because their dollars are shit, they're just going to keep increasing taxes. They're going to keep increasing the capital gains, the employment taxes. Everything's going to continue to go up over time. So the one thing that you can do is hold Bitcoin and protect yourself against that and into the future. And the other part there too is if you actually understand what's happening here and you tell your clients that we're going to allocate 1 or 2% of your portfolio into Bitcoin, we're going to learn how to self-custody that Bitcoin, and we're never going to sell that Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is exactly like land. You buy land, you never sell that land, and you leverage against that land in the future. That's how you operate. That's what farmers have done forever. And it is the Bitcoin strategy as well. So in order to avoid those capital gain taxes, you buy Bitcoin, you hold it, you take custody of it. And if you don't sell it, you never pay tax on that. So it's a very good way to see your wealth go up without actually paying any taxes on that over time. So that's my advice. That's my offer to you, is if you are a financial advisor and you have some questions, some concerns, you want to ask me anything, you can set up a 30-minute call, an hour call. We'll talk about it for free. We just got to get more little guys into Bitcoin, because we don't want the BlackRocks to own everything. We don't want BlackRock to own all the Bitcoin within the ETFs. We need to own the Bitcoin. So that's my offer today. I'm going to jump over to Zap.stream. We're going to do a golf show this morning. So if you're interested in that, if you're a golfer, check it out. If not, I appreciate you being here. And one thing I will say, kind of just to round out the show today, is that if you have been enjoying this stuff, if you've been watching, I'm sure most of you are already subscribing to the channel, but it's free to do. Click the subscribe button, click the like button, share it with your friends, share it with your family. I try to structure these conversations in a very logical way for people to understand, because I'm not a very technical guy myself. So if I can understand this, I know that you can. And we want to get this message in front of as many people as possible. So all this stuff, it makes a big difference, and I would very much appreciate it. I don't ask often, but if you're somebody who's been watching the show and enjoying it and learning from it, just click the button. That's it. This channel's been growing. It's been getting in front of a lot of eyes, and it's important. So that's it for today. Have the best Monday of your life. Get some shit done today and enjoy your time here, because we talked about 2136. We're going to be long gone by then. So just enjoy yourself. Enjoy the time that you have here. Do some stuff that you love doing. Start earning some Bitcoin. Start protecting yourself with Bitcoin. And you're going to have a very happy and fulfilled life if you take that route, instead of competing against the 95% who are doing the exact same thing. So that's it. Have an amazing day. I appreciate you all very much. And we'll see you right back here first thing tomorrow morning, or on Touch Grass, the golf show. Bye-bye.